I was fortunate to be able to speak on a panel this past weekend in front of a room full of amazing, powerful, badass women on the topics of connection and imperfection, which was so perfect because those are honestly two of my highest values and themes of my life. And so that's obviously going to be reflected in the clients and students that I've worked with over the last 10 years. I remember back in the day when I was first helping people with copy and creating a course about copy, the line that I don't even remember originally saying, but the line that was mirrored back to me the most over and over and over again was, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be shared. And really good is good enough. And I referred to myself as a recovering perfectionist. And so do many of my clients. And what's funny is now my understanding and my take on perfection and imperfection, it's like an optical illusion, basically, because I believe that the imperfection is actually the perfection of it all. And I'm sharing this because I cannot deny, I haven't felt this clear of a message, like divine breadcrumb basket bread factory situation, in a long time. But what was mirrored back to me after this panel conversation was the value of this conversation, specifically as it relates to sharing your message through audio, through podcasts like this. So in the talk, I was sharing my experience, how I originally created the Naptime Empires podcast years ago. Back in 2016 is actually when I started it, and it launched the first week of 2017. And I thought and assumed, right, that this is what you got to do. You got to get the professional mic. You need to speak in a place with great audio. So for me, that was my closet upstairs in our Navy housing. We had a little carpeted closet, which was perfect because it was small. I remember Bryson being behind me. And I'm like, shh, because I'm trying to record in here. So I just need like 5 minutes, as I was recording in my closet. And so I was putting it all together, but I thought like it had to sound a certain way. And don't get me wrong, I love crisp, clear, clean audio. I love it. And I love it when my editor, James, compliments my audio. He's like, Nikki, you blow me away with your audio quality. Like, feed my ego, James, as he does. I really appreciate it. So I love clean audio, and I love beautiful video production. I love all of that. There's such a place for it. It's art and it's mastery and it's collaboration, because usually it does take more than one person to pull it together. That is all beautiful, and I appreciate it. However, in this season of life, when my plate is very full on purpose of family and mom duties, I am no longer willing to not share my messages with you and share my insights and musings and what I'm curious about and what I'm thinking about and what me and my clients are talking about. I'm no longer willing to use production quality as an excuse to keep myself out of the conversation. And that is why I have created this podcast very intentionally, the way that I've created it, in what I'm calling lo-fi podcasting. So just recently, my friend Jada and I were listening. She has always the best, like really cool Spotify playlists. And I was like, what does lo-fi mean? Does it mean what I think it does? Because I knew hi-fi was a thing, like back in the day. I don't know if I'm thinking of Blue Hawaii. I'm thinking of some kind of old school movie from early in the 20th century, maybe mid 20th century, and it's like, put on the hi-fi. And it was like the really clear audio quality. And so of course, as everything cycles back around, now lo-fi is a thing. So from high fidelity quality sound to lo-fi, low fidelity quality sound. And I was like, I want to Google it and actually see what it means. And so I have two dictionary definitions. If you don't mind, I'm actually going to read them to you, because I really want this concept to sink in, because it really struck a chord, audio pun not intended, with the live audience. Like, women were coming up to me all day and since in my DMs to talk about it, and how it really just sparked a light bulb for them. So lo-fi is, this is according to Wikipedia, lo-fi is a music or production quality in which elements usually regarded as imperfections in the context of a recording or performance are present, sometimes as a deliberate choice. And then the Urban Dictionary says it's a type of non-lyrical music that contains origins and influence. Oh, wait, hang on. Yes, in its name, lo-fi comes from the term low fidelity, which in this case is reference to the sounds of vinyl crackle and sample distortion, which is used in a number of ways, namely the provocation of nostalgia, And I thought that was cool too, because I wasn't even thinking about that, but it does, because it kind of sounds like a record crackling, which of course, if you're thinking of records, it's sparking nostalgia. So anyway, that's a sidebar I didn't know at the time when I was doing the panel. But my point was, I've created this podcast intentionally to be lo-fi. And I mentioned this, I think, before in one of my very first episodes of this one, because I actively choose Voxer as my recording vehicle of choice right now, more than voice memo, because voice memo, it's a little crisper and a little clearer, which means that if I'm breathing heavily, then you could hear that more. And the S's and the P's might sound a little more intense. I like the buffer. I like the crackle. I like it's just a teeny tiny bit fuzzy. That's all by design, not defect. The imperfections and me pressing record and then not actually editing things, that's a feature, not a flaw. It is a practice in imperfectionism for me as the creator, someone who absolutely has challenged myself in so many ways to such extremes, in some cases creatively, of like not getting sleep because I'm editing and I'm taking out the ums of things because it's a slide and it's more noticeable, like to the nth degree. Back in the day, it's a practice for me to be like, it's fine, it's okay, it's valuable, even when it's air quotes imperfect. And so me sharing that, and again, I love my Naptime Empires podcast. I hope if you haven't listened to it, then you hop over there and you find it and you just scroll through and tap whatever inspires you, because I love it. I love it. And I'm so grateful for it. Even then, I guess my rebellious thing with Naptime Empires, it seemed everybody was hiring some random person to do an intro, but I was like, I want to do a cold start, and I want Bryson, my son, who was 5 at the time, and now he's going into middle school, to read this. Like I had this really inspired idea. I was like, Bryson, I want you to be my podcast intro. And he's like, what, right now? I still remember we went and sat on the couch and recorded like a draft one on my phone. But see what I mean? It was a draft one on my phone. And then we recorded the real one in my closet. And it's such a treasure. I love hearing his little voice on it every time that it starts up. So that was a little rebellious then, because I hadn't heard anybody doing anything like that. But still, it was all about the audio quality. I need everybody to be quiet. Shush, I'm recording upstairs. I need to wait. I need to turn off the air conditioner. I need to turn on the dehumidifier or some kind of fan outside my door to buffer the noise, like the links that I would go to. Even though if I was doing a live stream and I had a baby spit up in real time, like that was no big deal. But for the audio, it was just this permission to be perfectionisty about it. And that's just not the case, at least with this podcast. Again, there is a place for that high production value. One, for anyone who genuinely loves it and wants it and has no resistance around it. That's beautiful. 2, if it's actually for entertainment, storytelling, like a, where it's like a TV show, but a podcast, that's obviously different. But for you and me, if you have a business that's anything kind of like mine in the information or coaching and consulting space, or if you're just doing it for personal, to just share your thoughts and leave your own divine breadcrumbs for your neighbors, friends, and family, you don't need all that. And some people may say, I remember a post once upon a time where this guy was like, please don't start a podcast. And I'm like, who are you to tell anyone? Like, if that's what they want to do with their life, great. If 2 people listen to it, great. It's okay. You don't get to just decide what's worthy of being on the internet and what's not, because these people are here in their lives showing up and they're communicating with real life people just as they are in the audio quality that happens to fly out of their faces whenever they're talking. So who are we to put conditions on what's valuable and what's not, just based on sound quality? And again, it can be really distracting, or if something's really loud and you can't actually hear the person talking, or it's, like, let's use some within reason here is what I'm saying with the lo-fi. But for me, this is lo-fi. Or if my family came home right now, or Noe walks in the door, or we're babysitting our family's parrot and she's, laughing or sneezing or something in the background, that's all okay. It's by design. It is like a form of cognitive behavioral therapy for me to practice hitting record, wrapping it up, downloading it, and moving it on over to Hello Audio, and then seeing what happens. And almost without fail, I'm like, ooh, was I rambling? Did that even make any sense? I'll tell you, I still do that. I used to do that with my Naptime Empires ones too. I would record them and then I would upload them to Dropbox for my editor to add the intro and outro. And I'd be like, I should probably re-record that. And a few times I did, maybe more than a few times, because it's been 70 or 80 something episodes. But most of the time, vast majority, I would just be like, let it go, let it go. And then someone would hear it and comment or tag me on Instagram or wherever and let me know that it was exactly what she needed to hear. And that's so beautiful. It's so freaking beautiful. And I hope that you'll give yourself a chance to experience this. Again, I'm calling it the lo-fi podcast movement, or minimum viable podcast, max value podcast, MVP. It's been a buzz of a topic of conversation currently, like I said, in face-to-face conversations and in DM conversations. And if it's something that is sparking you, that you might want to try and you would like some pro support and maybe even live co-working, I'm playing with ideas and I'm open to inspiration here in our Mutual Inspiration Society, because I feel like if you have a message that you want to share it. And you don't have to put all of these conditions around it. And then it also reminds me, you know, who you are, of a comment I got once upon a time last year. And she said, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm enjoying listening to you so much, not the least because there's no music, no intro, no outro. It's just raw and simple. It feels really quiet and like an air quotes normal chat. I find it really comforting because of that, and because you get me thinking about things, which I love. I love how you just launch in. I love the topics, the way you talk so articulately and clearly about nuances and reframes. It's the kind of podcast I'd like to make if I was going to do one. It shows me what's possible beyond what everyone else is doing, and that's one of my favorite things as an online business owner and human. So thank you. And not everyone will get it, and some people will be like, that's lazy or unprofessional or whatever, and that is fine, because those are not my people. My people are the ones who are listening and thinking, I didn't even know that was possible. And that's exactly what that's exactly how simple it would need to be in order for me to do it. So if you are one of those people, and I've had clients start podcasts just like this because they're like, I didn't even know I could do it that way. You can absolutely do it that way. And like I said, if you want support and ideas, I'll create something to make it easier for you. So send me feedback through the comment link. I would love to hear your thoughts, and take a screenshot. Tag me. Let's spread the word about Lo-Fi Podcasts and how simple it can be and incredibly valuable as a result. The feature, not the flaw. The imperfection is the perfection. And so it is. Okay, technically that was the end of the episode, but since you're still here, 1, I'd love to thank you for spending part of your day with me, and 2, I'd love to ask you if you would take 30 seconds, maybe 60, to leave a rating and review in your podcast app before you tap out today. If you've already done that, it's amazing. Please send me a screenshot so I can thank you personally, and know that sharing this episode with a friend has the same magical powers, and I deeply appreciate both. Also, in case you're listening to the end to see if I ever actually introduce myself, hi! My name is Nikki Elledge Brown. I'm the host and author of Naptime Empires and this here On Her Terms podcast. You can find me around the internet at Nikki Elledge Brown in most places, but what you may appreciate most is actually over at onherterms.com. It's what I call the insider library. It's where you can get inside scoop, first listen rights, email updates every time there's a new episode, and then special insider only bonus content. It's all over in our private feed. Okay, that's a wrap for real. I'll meet you in the next episode.